Can I welcome everybody most warmly to this webinar this afternoon. My name is Father Richard Finn. I'm the director of the Las Casas Institute for Social Justice, based at Blackfriars Hall in Oxford. And I should say just very briefly something about the Institute. It exists to look at difficult issues of social justice, in some sense through the lens of Catholic social teaching, very much inspired by a 16th century Dominican friar, Bartolomé de las Casas, who was originally a secular cleric and plantation owner who thought to exploit the labor of indigenous peoples in order to make his own fortune. But he went through a sudden conversion experience where he actually deeply appreciated for the first time the humanity of the people who he was getting to work for him. And he released them from what was effectively slave labor. And he went back to Spain from the New World, so-called, where he was making his fortune, Hispaniola, went back to Spain, he became a Dominican, went back out to the Americas, and became a champion of the fundamental human rights of indigenous peoples, seeking to get their rights respected in the laws of Spain. And so it's entirely fitting that the Institute should host this webinar, which is being led by a Blackfriars Hall graduate students, Clarins Shieryl. And it's a great joy for me to hand over to Clarins to take this forward and introduce our distinguished guest this afternoon, the professor, who again, I was delighted to learn had studied at the Angelicum in Rome. So good fellow Dominican connections there. Professor, thank you so much for joining us and speaking this afternoon. Very grateful to you. I apologize to everyone that I cannot stay myself at this seminar because I'm currently at another event in our Dominican Priory in Cambridge, the other place, as they say, in the University of Oxford. So thank you so much, and I hand over now to Clarins.
Thank you. The pleasure is of mine.
Thank you.
Thank you, Father Richard. Yes, as mentioned before, so this is a webinar that is sort of in collaboration with the Indonesian. As you can see from the cohort here, there are so many Indonesian turnout, which is wonderful. And it's also in collaboration with my foundation, my NGO in Indonesia called Sembarita Foundation. And so we are very grateful for Las Casas to give us this platform. And so good afternoon to everyone joining us from the UK, and good evening to all those tuning in from Indonesia. And thank you so much for making the time. And this is truly a special moment for both myself and my Indonesian colleagues, as we had the privilege of speaking for what I can personally testify is one of the best colleges in Oxford, Blackfriars Hall, especially the Las Casas Institute for Social Justice. And I'm deeply grateful to Father Richard Finn, who provided a platform, and to Professor Ignatius Bambang Sugiharto, who is very much connected to the tradition here at Blackfriars, having completed his doctorate at the Pontifical University of the Angelicum in Rome. And a little bit about Professor Bambang from Professor Sugiharto before I give the floor to him. He achieved his doctorate of philosophy from the Universidad San Tommaso at the Angelicum in Rome. He is also an author of several books on the problems of postmodernism, arts, religion, humanism, and culture, among others, Seni and Kondisi Posthuman, or Posthuman Art and the Posthuman Condition, Kebudayaan and Kondisi Prostradisi, or Culture and the Condition of Post-Tradition, editor of Overlapping Territories, Asian Voices on Culture, and he also received Cultural Award from the government, and also he served as president of the Asian Association of Catholic Philosophers. From the year 2005 to 2007, he was the Secretary General of the International Society for Universal Dialogue, and so he's more than qualified to bring this topic today. And he also used to be a research fellow in several circles in Copenhagen, Tokyo, Washington, D.C., Hong Kong, and numerous other cities and countries. And he's currently a teacher at, well, a lecturer, a professor at Parahyangan University in Bandung and Institute of Technology in Bandung, and also the Islamic State University in Bandung, Indonesia. And before I hand over to Prof. Sugiharto, I would like to also talk about the background of Sembarita, which is the foundation that I will sort of bring into the perspective after Prof. Bambang's talk. And here we have Mr. Ali Abdullah as well as my co-founder of Sembarita Foundation. And the reason that we decided on the topic for today's talk, which is being of wonder, why religious freedom preserves all other human freedom, is rooted in a personal experience shared by many Indonesians, including Mr. Ali Abdullah and myself and Prof. Sugiharto. And Mr. Ali and I, as both founding members of the Sembarita Foundation, we try to integrate charity into the community, and our mission is to empower each other through mutual aid across diverse, vulnerable communities, rather than focusing solely on what we can gain from a donor based on a label of a vulnerable group. So whether it be economic vulnerability or issues like gender-based violence, we focus a little bit more on something simpler, which is sometimes I refer to second level or perhaps pre-level charity, which is simply about treating each other as human beings, deserving of love, seeking for truth, beauty, and goodness. So these are the principles that our charity in Indonesia upholds, which naturally makes our work very diverse and involving different communities, socioeconomic groups, and definitely different religious communities as well. So this is how we return to the topic at hand. The reason we chose to discuss this issue is because of Indonesia's unique context. As the fourth most populous country in the world, with 92% of our population being Muslim, Indonesia is often seen as a beacon of peaceful coexistence. And Mr. Ali and I've sort of become privileged to testify this. He is a prominent figure in Indonesia. In the Indonesian Muslim community as well. We were quite shocked when we witnessed an attack on a Catholic church on Ash Wednesday just this year. And at the same time, we're not very shocked as well, because when we look back, actually persecution are hidden and these attacks are happening everywhere, despite our label as being a country of peaceful coexistence. So when my personal experience of religious persecution, as I recall it, has become something that is quite familiar, and this is already the second time that my personal community experienced this persecution in my own parish in Bandung, in Aceh Manik. And since the tragic of the event, we've sought help from various sectors, with Mr. Ali and others stepping forward, including Ms. Waylin Han as well, stepping forward to represent the case and advocate for action from the government. And it's sort of become this pondering and question of the nature of true religious tolerance. What does it truly mean? And why does it seem like if we settle for mere tolerance, we risk reducing religion to something privatized and just sort of a shame that shouldn't be brought to the public, which might lead to friction and tension, and eventually oppression from the minority, from the majority towards the minority, if those frictions do happen. And is the solution really just to privatize it and sweep it under the rug, or keep it under the table, or something like that? Is there possibility for a better coexistence that goes beyond tolerance into understanding and even friendship? So Professor Sugiharto and I have discussed these issues at length, and we believe the key lies in the concept of wonder. By embracing our beingness as human beings, as creatures of wondering, especially in the face of God, where the complete other the more we try to understand God, the more mysterious he gets, and we begin to see this mystery in others as well, And we wonder if religious freedom fostered will foster that sense of mystery, of awe and wonder as well. And this is where our discussion begins. And I'm very pleased now I'm going to stop talking and I will hand it over to Professor Sugiharto, Professor Bambang, who will elaborate on this topic and this important theme more. Prof. Bambang, the floor is yours.
Okay, Clarins, you will have present my PowerPoint. Okay. So good afternoon and good evening, everybody. It is really an honor for me to be given opportunity to share my thoughts on this beautiful theme. Yes, the title given to me, Being of Wonder, is very, very poetic. It's very poetic, and I like it very much. But the subtitle, Why Religious Freedom Preserves All Human Freedoms, it sounds like it is already taken for granted that religious freedom preserves all human freedoms, which I still have to clarify, I guess, whether or not this is so. Yes, then I will, clarify first. The subtitle, Religious Freedom Preserves All Human Freedoms. The title is intriguing, indeed controversial, I guess. Obviously, the statement is refutable, and yet might also be plausible. It depends on the consideration, on the arguments that we have. I will start with the refutable aspect. Yes, the claim that religious freedom preserves all human freedoms can be refuted because, first of all, other freedoms or other rights can be enjoyed even without religious freedom. I think this is obvious. In most of the atheistic countries, I guess they still have many kinds of freedom that they can enjoy apart from religious freedom. Secondly, if religious freedom is fundamental, let's say because it is natural, the fundamental nature of religion, its naturalness is still debatable because it is scientifically open to disagreement, subject to further discovery. This is if the naturalness is only valid through scientific proof. This is still open to debate. Thirdly, if the naturalness is to be based on cognitive evolution, many other activities are the result of cognitive evolution, such as greed, violence, war, even gambling, dancing, whatsoever. And natural is not automatically good. I guess this point is also obvious. Fourthly, religious beliefs cannot be technically verified or falsified since they deal with meaning or values. This is the problem. Religion doesn't talk simply about facts, although perhaps it is partly based on facts, I believe, but this is mostly in the realm of values and meanings, which connect it closely to personal experience. Okay, fifthly, even if it is scientifically verified, descriptive explanation of science cannot automatically be taken as prescriptive norm, because as David Hume said, what is not the same with what ought to be. Fact is not the same with meaning or value. Many other freedoms are equally fundamental, such as personal freedom, economic freedom, freedom of assembly, freedom of speech, etc. So, from this perspective, it is not automatically clear that religious freedom preserves all other kinds of freedoms. Next. And yet, we can also see the other side, the plausible side, but under a certain condition. In general, the statement religious freedom preserves all human freedoms is plausible if, and only if, it is supported by particular ontological visions. Religious freedom preserves all human freedoms if all human freedoms are believed to be rooted in the divine creative freedom. This is the inspiration from Schelling. And so this is an example of, let's say, metaphysical vision, ontological views that can support the statement. It says like this frame of mind explains like this: humans are parts of nature, organic, sensuous movements. So life is sensuous movements, organic. Freedom is unmediated experience of life, a sensuous experience, a certainty that precedes any discourse. So freedom in this sense is just what we experience, immediately experience. It's got nothing to do with discourse. Freedom is a creative act, not a concept. It is life itself. For Schelling, it is even God. Freedom is God, the ground of existence. Humans are determined to determine themselves, meaning to be free. Whereas evil and good in moral freedom are necessary for freedom to disclose itself. Yeah, this is an interesting foundation for the claim that religious freedom preserves all human freedoms, because then religious freedom is considered to be foundational in terms of this ontological framework. Next, there is another point of view. Religious freedom is the condition of the possibility of other freedoms if freedom is believed to be the ground of causality, and causality is the heart of being or of God. This is, of course, inspiration from Heidegger, which connects freedom to causality. Causality is the ontological determination of beings. So life, beings, is determined by causality. It is caused by something else. There is a chain of causality that has then created these beings. Causality is grounded in freedom. The problem of freedom, the problem of causality is the problem of freedom, not vice versa. What I mean is this, that the chain of causality is created by our choices, and the choices is based on freedom. So causality is grounded in freedom. Freedom is the condition of the possibility of the manifestness of the being of beings, of understanding being. The essence of freedom consists in the question of being. Of course, this is an ontological discourse. because this is inspired by Heidegger. Now we move to the third ontological perspective, which is inspired by Rudolf Steiner. Religious freedom preserves all human freedom if freedom is the spiritual nature of our human cognitive power. Now, this touches the spiritual aspect here already. Freedom is neither subjective nor objective. It is intuitive. It knows without arguments, demonstrations, or other discursive means. So this is something more intuitive. It doesn't take any kind of discourse. It is rooted even in our spiritual nature, this kind of freedom, religious freedom. Next. Freedom is a creative force, according to Rudolf Steiner. We are more free if develop the spiritual nature of our human cognitive power. Developing freedom is human spiritual path, although not necessarily with particular creeds, pieties, or doctrines. So here's Rudolf Steiner, the differentiate between spiritual and religion, because spiritual is more connected to experience, whereas religion is connected to system, institution. Okay, that was from Rudolf Steiner. There's another perspective. Religious freedom is the precondition of other freedoms if freedom is the actualization of the divine agenda within oneself. This is from Roy Bhaskar, from Oxford, I guess. According to Roy Bhaskar, God's intentionality is what defines the most essential features of humans, which, among others, are freedom, creativity, and love. So freedom is one among the most fundamental features of humans. And this is this essential part shares the essential part of God, let's say so. God's intentionality is parallel to man's intentionality. The transcendent actualizes itself through the immanent. This is the non-dual perspective. Now, since everyone has their own agenda, what is right and wrong cannot be defined abstractly. This is a bit difficult, probably, but closely related to most mystical vision, even from many religions. Okay, next. Religious freedom preserves all human freedoms if religion is the very basic human condition of anthropological constant. If Homo sapiens is by nature also Homo religiosus. This would mean, insofar as religion is basic human condition, to restrict religious freedom would be to suppress the basic capacities that makes us fully human. Well, in fact, restrictions do increase these days. Preservation of religious freedom is a necessity as a precondition for peace and social justice. This is more from anthropological point of view. Next. Now come some notes, my personal notes on the issue. I believe that the image of God also plays a crucial role here on this issue. So how God is imagined, conceived, or depicted will affect the way we see the position of religious freedom. Religion whose image of God is the absolute or supreme judge, for example, would call for total submissiveness from our part instead of freedom. In a state where a particular religion is predominant, religious freedom would be taken as a threat instead of a basic right, let alone an opportunity. And humanity can even be sacrificed for the sake of God if necessary. So the root of the ambiguous position of religious freedom is the discrepancy between fact and value, institution and personal meaning, as well as human common sense and the claim of transcendental revelation. Indonesia is neither liberal nor theocratic religious state. Indonesia is at the middle ground. For the country has its own ideology, which we call Pancasila, consisting of 5 principles, which is the first principle is belief in the one and the only God. The second is just and civilized humanity. And the third, unity of Indonesia. The fourth is democracy led by the wisdom of deliberation among representatives. And the last principle is social justice for all Indonesian people. So formally, religious freedom is acknowledged in our country, but practically, it is highly problematic. Next, please. So other problem concerning religious freedom is the basic mindset. If we regard our own belief as the highest and the only truth, we would automatically see all other beliefs as false or even a threat. In terms of this discriminatory mindset, the most positive we can do to others is just simple tolerance. However, there are different kinds of tolerance. There is this, I would call, shallow tolerance, and using Nietzsche's terminology, chattering tolerance. What I mean here is just simple sympathy or even indifferentism. It's like, as long as you don't disturb me, suit yourself. Or disguised superiority, meaning that it's like when we say to others, actually, I'm very sorry that you believe such a weird religion, but well, it's okay if you do so. This is kind of disguised superiority or persuasive strategy. It's like when we say to young kids, okay, do what you want to do, but later you will realize that that is not the ideal. That is not the ideal thing to do. It takes certain maturity later, and you will understand more. This is tolerance in the sense of persuasive strategy. But this kind of tolerance does not transform one's vision of life or oneself. One doesn't learn anything from others by this kind of chattering tolerance. There is another kind of tolerance, deeper tolerance. What I mean by this is seeing others with a sense of wonder, that there is always something that we can, well, that is wonderful of the difference. Difference is always wonderful. Yeah, something that is unfamiliar to us can always stimulate our sense of wonder. But this also, this kind of tolerance also takes the courage to see bigger and unexpected truths through the other. Because if we talk about truth is so vast and so broad, so complex. The real truth must be very complex. That would mean the truth is bigger than what we believe. So we can always see something interesting in other belief, something unexpected in other belief. Also, deeper tolerance takes an awareness that we are shaped and built by others. You know, we don't create ourselves. Ourselves are created by interrelationship with others. In this sense, the other is constitutive factor of our very being. So there is otherness in ourselves. Or to see it in different point of view, if I'm a man, I realize what being a man really means only if compared to women, to other gender. I realize what my skin color is, as brownish, as tan, only in comparison with other color of skin, which can be darker or which can be brighter. So we need always a contrast to make us realize about ourselves. Okay, so I think the ideal is what I call the deeper tolerance will automatically work if we simply work together and inspire each other without, you know, disputing about our doctrine or our belief. I think the deeper layer behind the all kind of institution, doctrines, or beliefs or ritual is our humanity. And by working together, we create, mutually create each other, inspire each other. That's what I have in mind by the deeper tolerance. So in facing differences and living out our religious freedom, I guess the deeper tolerance is what we need. Thank you. And as far as it concerns the more concrete situation in Indonesia concerning religious freedom, Clarins and Mr. Ali will talk further. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Professor Sugiharto, and it's definitely a very deep and meaningful content that you have just shared, and particularly we will have time for questions and answers, so please do take note of them. And in the next 10 to 15 minutes we will hear maybe 10 minutes will be best time for us to hear from practice Mr. Ali, who has dealt with a lot of cases of religious persecution and attacks in Indonesia, and also Ms. Weilin Han, a colleague of Mr. Ali, who will also speak on this. And I just have to highlight within my prerogative to say that it's a very powerful concept of the image of God that Prof. Sugiharto has given, and to recognize this participation in the divine when we exercise our freedom, and therefore with encountering the other, we are able to participate more. We become more us I become more me by recognizing the you-ness of the you. So it's a very powerful thing to say, and you recognize the you being an image of God. That means we recognize more of God in the other, and that's a powerful thing that perhaps needs a little bit more unpacking as well. Hopefully we have time for question and answers, and without further ado, then I will pass the floor to Mr. Ali. Mr. Ali is one of the vice presidents at Sambarita Foundation and also the founder of Bhinneka Community. And Bhinneka Community has been around for over 10 years, perhaps. Please correct me if I'm wrong later, in dealing with the idea of religious friendship and understanding in Indonesia by upholding the principle of unity and diversity. So, Mr. Ali, please, the floor is yours, and continued by Ms. Waylin Han, also part of Bhinneka. Yes, there you go.
Yes. Thank you, Ms. Clarins. Good evening. I'm Ali Abdullah from Sambarita Foundation, a place for various communities to collaborate and help each other. We start one year ago in Bandung. I live in Arcamanik in Bandung, and I can tell you the story about attack in Arcamanik. The Arcamanik residence complex in Bandung has been known for its harmonic and diverse community since its inception, with residents of different faith living in peace. However, a few years ago, new residents moved in who were more rigid in their religion belief and less willing to mingle with those different from them. The multi-purpose building, initially used for sport and other activities, including Catholic worship, has been a point of contention over the past year. Some of the new residents have raised issues with religious activity in the building with the help of external community organizations. Meanwhile, some Muslim residents in Arcamanik support the use of the multi-purpose building for worship. The situation escalated with protests by those who objected, held in front of the building during Catholic service. You can see the picture in this photo. Prompting police intervention to maintain security and prevent unrest. Currently, efforts are underway to resolve the issue by seeking permission from the city government to allow the multi-purpose building to be used for worship. And one of the many communities in Bandung, one of them is Bhinneka Community, which actively conduct positive activity across different religions. I invite Ms. Waylin Han, co-founder of Bhinneka Community, to share her insight. Please, Ms. Waylin Han, you can share the material. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ali. And yes, so just to reiterate, this happened about almost 3 months ago now. 2 months ago, the Ash Wednesday attack, and
yeah. And I live near from the building, about 200 meters from the building, Clarins.
Okay, okay. And so it happened during the service, the Ash Wednesday service, and it was disrupted. Is that what happened? If you could.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the service was disrupted, and one of the reasons is because by law the building is called a multi-purpose building, although it was owned by the church, and the government has decided that it's better for the church to move to a new location, and rather than sort of having a presence where some as a minority religion practices their religious activity in a place where it's too close for comfort for other groups, for their groups that is less willing to accept their presence.
Yes.
So it's a very difficult. It's not a dilemma, but it's more a difficult, uncomfortable position to not even be able to say the words. As I realize that as I speak and as Mr. Ali speak, I can tell that he is less candid than usual, because we have to always be careful of the words that we say, because it can always be used against us. So but I hope this could capture a little bit of how this sort of internal pressure of not being able to say to speak freely about our beliefs and what our soul thirsts. And as Mr. Ali indicated, Ms. Wei Lin Han will provide a sort of alternative solution than just mere tolerance through the law, and that is through community. And this relates to my and Mr. Ali's foundation, Sembarita in Indonesia, which we try to build and integrate charity into the community, in which these sense of friendship and understanding does not come from legalistic terms of obligation, but it comes from building human-to-human connection, as Prof. Sugiharto just mentioned, from image of God to image of God. And this photo over here on the very left is when I had a little end-of-year celebration in the slums, in the charity, so homeless families, where we sort of come together, and I asked them to write 3 things that they would wish to have for the new year for themselves, and then write another 3 things that they wish to have for the person next to them, and then 3 things that they wish to have for their children. And they put it into a box. We all put it into a box, and then we read it one by one, and then we all pray for those wishes in the box through our different faiths. And this is just to see one of those, to just read out a couple of those wishes that comes from the heart of these people. It shows how genuinely fundamentally the same we are as images of God, because it's all full of words of encouragement for the other, to see that in community, even in poverty, even this is in the slums, and they say that they wish not for economic success or better working, better salary or things like that, but their most fervent wish is for the neighbor to be happier in their little family, for their children to be more obedient and to be more diligent in their studying and things like that. So at the end of the day, we're all the same human beings who would wish the same things, no matter what religion we are and what socioeconomic background we have. And so these are other photos of the similar communities of our charity. And before we get to Ms. Wei Lin Han, perhaps there's a 1-minute video of Sembarita Foundation, my and Mr. Ali's foundation. And this is the end of year celebration, where we bring together all of our multiple diverse communities and the founders of those charities. So we have the schools in the slums, we have a home for victims of sexual abuse, there's a shelter for abandoned babies as well, there's also a shelter for cancer patients in rural areas, and there's this shelter, and we bring them together and we celebrate humanity and community. And it was covered by
and
the
now, as
national
the New
TV.
Year holiday season reached its peak, a Bandung-based foundation is highlighting the spirit of giving. A charity gathering was organized by Celebrate humanity and community. Held on December 18th in Bandung, the charity event called Sound Love brought together social workers, charity organizations, and dedicated individuals committed to serving the less privileged. This year's event focused on collaboration and storytelling, featuring keynote address on love and compassion by artist Clarins Shieryl and Professor Bambang Sugiharto. Clarins Shieryl, founder of Sambarita Foundation, who organized the event, says, Sound Love is a gathering of hearts, a space where stories of hope and action come to life. The event also included, among others, a talk show with prominent charity leaders, book launch with The Margins, an anthology of stories of compassion, and the launch of Sambarita Bersama, a collaborative program fostering partnerships among grassroots charities. Musical performances and art exhibitions by renowned organizations like Saung Angklung Ujo Foundation added to festive atmosphere. With Indonesia consistently ranking among the world's most generous countries, Sound Love serves a reminder of the importance of giving back, especially during this season of generosity. Of a true meaning of the holidays.
Okay, without further ado, perhaps this to end with a more hopeful tone amidst the struggles that we face as a human community, whether it be in a country or a community or other different forms of social associations. We all have these struggles, but we, in order to sort of understand it in a more human way, and also to see it through the lens that we are all walking towards a brighter future, in a way, walking towards heaven, even though the path is full of challenges and bearing the weight of the cross. We want to believe in the hope of the love that we have as images of God in our human community. And I think Sambarita, our foundation, as well as our collaborative network in Bhinneka community, which is Unity in Diversity, will see a hopeful note of an alternative solution, but also a complementary solution to what we have now, religious tolerance, and in the terms of legals, in legal terms, but also in the more communal and organic terms. And this provide a deeper tolerance, perhaps, as Professor Sugiharto just mentioned. And so I'll give the next perhaps 3 or 4 minutes to Ms. Waylin Han to share a little bit about Bhinneka community who has worked precisely on this issue, religious freedom and friendship.
Thank you, Clarins. Good afternoon or good evening to everyone. And thank you very much, Professor Sugiharto, and allow me to take some quotes from your presentation later on. Ladies and gentlemen, we talk about lots of wonder. And because of that, we also started Komunitas Bhinneka or Bhinneka community in 2017. So actually we are quite new. We just had, from 2017, we just had like 15 visits to House of Worships, and also some discussions, some workshops among the teens and primary students, and also primary teachers. But then what have we learned by starting this community? What we have seen is that seeds of wonder. If the title is Lots of Wonder, by doing this Bhinneka community, by doing this House of Worship visits, actually we have seen and planted, and also like, it's just like the growth itself, the seeds of wonder. So allow me to start with the initiative itself. In Jakarta, and also in Jakarta, the participants were more to teens. And actually only one is held for primary teachers. Why is that for teens only? Because, well, actually one is for primary students because of the diverse location of the places in Jakarta. So it is not possible for the younger students to join a longer trip in Jakarta. While on the other hand, in Bandung, because Bandung is more compact, we are allowed to provide the House of Worships visits for smaller students, for primary students. And also, interestingly, in Bandung, for example, during the visit, some parents actually asked us, the committee, can we tag along the trip? And I said that, are you worried about your children? Are you worried about your kids, that your kids will do something else, for example? No. But because it is also our first time visiting the places. So will you allow us to tag along? So because of that, and because of the guarantee that they will not interfere with our workshop or activities, we allow parents to tag along. And again, that is a chance to plant seeds of wonder, to see like what Clarins said from Prof. Bambang presentations, to see more me in you. That happens during the visit. And also because of that, we were also asked several times to run workshops, either in pesantren, schools, religious schools for the Muslims, or from the dioceses in Bandung. I still remember, what do you call, when at the end of the workshop, at the end of the interfaith discussion in pesantren, then the teens just like, how do you call, held a long paper, and then they tried to break the paper together because the paper said that intolerance. It really touched our heart when we see that from the younger generations, they know that actually it is their responsibility to preserve the nation and also the beauty of our God. We focus on the younger generations because we believe by providing positive experience, they will learn to know others as part of the big family of Indonesian. They will learn to respect. They will learn to get to know each other. For example, in their reflections, before that, even during the visit, for example, some non-Muslims, because it was held during a very hot and humid day, and then during Lohar, just at noon, we visit the mosque. The Muslims will do the prayer, and before that, they will do the wudu, the cleansing. And the non-Muslims said that because it was so hot, can I also do the wudu as well? So for me, their eagerness just to try the ritual itself is also already a wonder. Or for example, in a Buddhist temple, the questions raised for the incense, for the incense, burn incense. Why do you burn the incense? If you cannot see God, why do you say that God can smell the incense, for example, like that? And it is a primary students that raise that question. Or another student said that, can we actually eat the fruit afterwards of the offering, fruit offering at the altar? Or, for example, when we visit the Hindu temple, Some participants said that, why should we wear a cloth in our waist? And why do men wear a kind of wrap a cloth on their head? So actually, by doing a house of worship visits, actually not only the we nurture the inquiry mind, but also we also give them, like what Prof. Sugiharto said, the freedom. They are not afraid to ask. They are not afraid to raise questions because they know that they are in a safe environment. They are in the safe trip to learn one from another. And actually, they also learned in their reflections that they were delighted, they joined the trip. They could know about other religions in positive ways. They got some new friends. Even, for example, my niece, she joined the trip when she was in grade 9. Now she is already in university, and she still keep contacts with the friends of the Muslim friends, Muslim communities of the trip itself. And what is amazing is that they also learn that there are so many similarities. For example, oh, apparently not only Muslims that use beads, even Catholics and Buddhists also use beads. And also, for example, when they see in a church that they use water for the baptism, oh, so water is very important for every religions. All these conclusions comes from the younger generations, the seeds that we can nurture. I think I will stop up to this point. Actually, after this, you can see two videos, only 1 minute each. The first one is from the Jakarta trip, and then the second one from the Bandung trip. But I will give it to Clarins. This is the one in Bandung.
Sorry. Yes, sorry about that. I didn't realize it will play. Should I play it now?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. So we visited 6 places, house of worships, and this is the mosque actually, where they ask for the wudu. This is during the discussions. This is about the incense that they ask. This is as a Protestant church. Or they ask also, what is the rooster up there in the church? One student wrote, wow, there are so many beautiful glasses and painting in a cathedral.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Miss Valen. I think everyone can see how much heart you have poured into and how much soul you have given to these children and teenagers when you gather them to visit different religious worship temples. And it's just so wonderful to see how as Prof. Sugiharto, again, we keep quoting Prof. Sugiharto today as seeing images of God in the you. We can see this we can plant the seeds. Oh, rather grow the seeds of wonder in ourselves as well, and see how actually there is something out there, something beyond a God who created these human beings, and we need to listen to this transcendent other, the awesome transcendent other who has created this beautiful human beings and their religious rituals. And of course, when we get to the nitty-gritty of it, there will be friction and there will be disputes in theology and doctrines. But maybe if we take a step back and just see as human beings, we see how there is also an inherent beauty and goodness in these differences. So thank you so much. Thank you both, Mr. Ali and Ms. Waylin from Sambari and from Komunitas Bhinneka. Thank you so much. And we have passed 3 p.m. and I'm going to ask John Angus if this is okay to continue, perhaps for questions and answers for maybe.
Go right ahead. Yes.
Okay, yeah, question answers, perhaps 10 to 15 minutes, and reflections, anything is welcome. Please do drop in at the chat box, or just use the raised hand feature there on Zoom. But before we open it to the floor, perhaps Prof. Bambang, if you would like to share what maybe remarks of Mr. Ali and Ms. Waylin Han's presentation, and vice versa, Ms. Waylin Han and Pak Ali, if you would like to share your remarks on Prof. Bambang's presentation as well. Thank you.
Yes, that was that's exactly what I meant by we learn from each other through living together, experiencing together. That's the most important thing. Even before we debate concerning doctrine or our ritual ways or whatever, I guess knowing each other, getting in touch with each other is the most important. I mean, of course, doctrine is important, rituals are important, but it's for their own, for each religious practices, experiences, it's okay. But by living together, experiencing together, that's the key to deeper tolerance. So the presentation from Ms. Waylin and Mr. Ali was exactly what I mean. That we have to, we have to grow this awareness, this sensibility, this sense of wonder from the very early age. That's it.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Prof. Bambang. Ms. Waylin or Mr. Ali, if you would like to ask, to give comments or ask questions. And we already have a question from Edward Hadders in the group, in the chat. And please do, afterwards, we'll open the floor for discussion as well.
Thank you, Clarins. Just one sentence, actually. We are, Pak Ali and I, are more convinced of providing a positive experience by doing the wisata rumah ibadat or house worship of visits, because we do not want, again, allow me to quote, we do not want just to provide a chattering tolerance, but meaningful tolerance. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we have 2 hands raised already, Ahmad and Stephanie, but I asked the question from Edward in the chat first. He said, I'm curious about the Pancasila. Does this set of fundamental national values help develop the sense of wonder that you discussed so well? Prof. Sugiharto, perhaps this is directed at you, but also Ms. Waylin Han, perhaps you could testify from experience if our nations have really stay true to our principles. Yes, please, Prof. Sugiharto.
Yes, that was an interesting question, because the Pancasila is something formal, and it used to be sort of manipulated during the what we call Orde Baru, the new order during the President Suharto. Somehow it was, it was overimposed into the mind of the people, Indonesian people. Somehow that the people got fed up because also this Pancasila, we experienced that this 5 principles were often used as an excuse for authoritarianism of the president of the new order. So there was that period when we became a bit allergic to this Pancasila, although this is supposed to be our consensus or ideology, national ideology. But later on, after we call it Reformation, after the new order was debunked, and then came the new era, which we call Reformation. There has been this kind of frenzy, kind of freedom, that this goes the other way today, to the other extreme, because everybody feels free somehow to express their own beliefs, to the point that there is, how do you call it, hardliners coming up, and this creates the intolerant situation. The good thing during the President Suharto, the new order, was that he used his power to curb the hardliners. To that extent, the situation was somehow more stable in that perspective. Although in other perspective, there is repressive situation as well. But now, it takes so much effort to use the Pancasila to really motivate people again to grow the tolerance, the deeper tolerance, the more fruitful, inspirative coexistence. It takes harder effort, like has been done by Ms. Whaling and Mr. Ali Abdullah and others. That there are also the so-called peace generation among the youngsters who keep promoting this kind of deeper tolerance. But yes, it takes much more energy these days in the atmosphere of freedom, the frenzy of freedom. That's it, Edward.
Thank you. Mungkin Bu Wailin atau Miss Wailin or Mr. Ali would like to give comments as well from practice.
Right. Okay. Allow me to share a little bit. I was actually a Pancasila lecturer for 10 years.
Wonderful.
And 90%, actually more than 90% of my students, of my university students, they are trainees from upper class. So they don't actually know, they don't even have friends from other religions. For them, the Muslims are the minority because they live in a segregated area. So when I taught them, I said that forget about your rote learning. Forget about your drilling. You can even open your books during the test. but we are going to live the Pancasila. It will become our faith, our daily dose. So, well, actually, for example, I challenge them to start with the symbol itself. Why not the first Pancasila, ketuhanan yang Maha Esa, we use star? Do you have any idea? For example, things like that. And then during my time, it was also the first time for the faculty to have a visit to pesantren. They were so scared, as if that they could, Miss, will I come alive after the visit, Miss? Miss, will they follow me to our house, Miss? Things like that. But for me, afterwards, again, the wall is already like breaking down, and then also like the relationship built up. Even one batch, they did the fundraising and they bought a kurban for their students. For me, again, living by the example is louder than just the learning, the memorizing itself. And now, as my role as a teacher trainer or school consultant, I also have chance to meet teachers from various places with their various backgrounds. So I intentionally arrange, because in Indonesian, when we start our program and end our program, we will start with a prayer and close with a prayer. So I arrange intentionally. Okay, the first morning, the Muslim will start with a prayer. First evening, the Catholic will pray, for example. Next morning, the Hindu will pray, and you cannot say, please pray in your heart. No. Pray verbally that others can listen, so others can also learn and respect. That's a little bit of examples. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Waylin. Bali, if you'd like to.
Udah cukup, mungkin Bu Welin sudah menjawab.
Yeah, I'm conscious of time, so perhaps Ahmad, you can ask your question and then followed by Stephanie. And if we still have time, I'll continue with the questions in the chat.
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sure. So I just want to appreciate first what Sebarita Foundation and Komunitas Bhinneka do because it gives me a glimmer of hope in the modern society. And I also like how Professor Bambang Sugiharto said about the part of me in you and sense of wonder in me and you in yourself. And I also believe what Professor Bambang Sugiharto said about the key of tolerance is living together with the others, because I experienced that myself. So I know how they think, I know how beautiful they are, and how beautiful diversity is. So my question is, it seems that religious people can do immoral things also, like the attack in Ash Wednesday or intolerance in various Catholics rituals in Indonesia. So I don't know. It seems like I just want to ask Professor Bambang Sugiharto, where do you think morality comes from? Is it comes pre-embedded to us from right before we born into existence, or is it comes from religion and faith teaching, or is it comes from a just society, or I mean, where do you think it comes from? Is it comes from religion, from society that has its own rules and values, or is it comes from our existence is pre-embedded into existence right before we were born? It's just something that I have questioning a lot, that I think I experience and I take from our society and modern society and the people as well. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Ahmad. Partly, I believe that morality is rooted in our basic intuition, partly in our basic intuition, but whether or not this basic intuition, there's the sense of interconnectedness. I mean, whether or not this can grow, it then depends also on the education, the religion, the tradition that later on plays a role in one's growth in life. But on the other hand, I also believe among the grown-ups that morality also takes rationality. It takes also sort of a rational consideration, you know. Whereas oftentimes religion curbs this capacity of thinking due to, you know, the focus on doctrines, legal and things like that. Of course, basically religion would say that using your mind, using your brain is mandatory, but that is the ideal. The fact is, oftentimes religion blocked the capacity of thinking. So oftentimes it takes the courage to, you know, to think, to use your mind to make a deeper consideration, because morality oftentimes also needs rational consideration. That's it, Ahmad.
Thank you, Prof. Bambang. And it reminded your question and your answer, Ahmad, and your answer, Prof. Bambang, reminded me of what Kierkegaard said. Obviously, this is just a little bit of element of philosophy here as well. And he says something along the lines of what a monstrous mistake it is to the greatest possible to didacticize a religion or Christianity, as he's a Christian, because this is to view that truth is cognition or knowledge, whereas in original, all the expressions were formed according to the view that truth is a being, it's not a proposition or a knowledge. So yes, I can totally resonate with what Prof. Sugiharto said, that sometimes our didacticized knowledge can actually curb our being and our capacity to image the truth himself, the supreme truth of God. So there's an element of openness there. Yes, anyways, the next question is from Stephanie. Please do ask your question.
Yeah, thank you. We know that this issue about religious issue are sensitive issue, and this talks remind us to plant seed by participating in activities that tolerate diversity. But as fact, in Indonesia, we will definitely easy to find people who are so radical enough to disturb or saying bad things about our belief as minority, example, or maybe incident in Archamani. So maybe if we dealing with people that open heart and open-minded to embrace the diversity, it's more easy. But if we deal with people that saying things like they know more than us, but the statement it's absolutely wrong, what are the simple steps that we have to dealing the views and propaganda that insult our beliefs maturely? Because if we reply their debatable things that they show that they really know enough about our belief, it will intrigue our angry. So what is easier or simple step that we have to deal with, especially in Indonesia? Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie, and maybe Prof. Sugiharto can answer, but because of time, perhaps I can also read out the second question in the chat, and then we can wrap up. So Prof. Bambang could answer both questions right away. So Stephanie's question about the simple steps on encountering these different principles, and The second question from Paulus Harsanto, in countries where there is a majority religion, is there religious freedom for religious minorities? So perhaps if you could sort of answer both at the same time, that would be, thank you so much.
Yeah, facing those from different belief, and then they feel that they know even better than we do. I wonder what step accept, remain silent, remain silent at the right. Just wait until there is the right time when the condition is conducive. Then perhaps we can explain. You know, I'm a bit pessimistic about this discursive debate concerning religions, because eventually what counts is how we can win over the other, which to me is not the point. Just try to live together and do as best as you can, as a best friend, as a good man or women. Yeah, that is more important rather than defending ourselves in terms of our doctrine or dogmas. Okay, and then in a country where there is a predominant majority religion, is there any freedom for the minority? It depends on what we mean by freedom, because there are many kinds of freedom, actually. Because freedom to think, freedom to create new things, like what has been done by Ms. Welling and Mr. Ali and others, it is a freedom. It comes from freedom, creative freedom. And creative freedom will find its way, one way or another, will find its way. So no worries. There is always freedom, creative freedom. Although we have really, there are times when we really have to create our opportunity. We can't wait for the opportunity. We have to create the opportunity to do something better or more fruitful. That's it, Clarins.
Thank you so much, Prof. Bambang, and thank you for the great question, both Mr. Paulus and Stephanie. And I think it just resonates with me again when we think about our reality. And as a philosophy and theology student here at Oxford and at Blackfriars, we are constantly in a community here in Oxford where it's always encouraged for us to speak and to think. And the way that this works is by threatening each other's structure of reality, in a way. We always come with our own structure of reality as through our experience, through our knowledge, and that shapes who we are as human beings. And our encounter with the other will always threaten that structure, because it says something about our imperfection, our imperfect idea of what reality is, because everyone has an imperfect idea. And so what Bonhoeffer said is this threat of reality entails struggle, but we can either approach it as a struggle against the other, or we can approach it as a struggle with and for the other. In the sense of that, when we both have different structures of reality and we have friction and we don't know who is correct, for the sake of the truth, for the sake of that real reality, we sharpen each other, and by the differences we are humbled, or we are able to teach the other. And I think this threat, this experience of struggle, the larger the gap it is, the larger the capacity for unity there is. Like, imagine if there are, I don't know if you can see my video, imagine if there are two people who are very similar in their structures of reality. then the space in between is very small, and that's the space for unity and growth and harmony. But if it's a very different structure of reality, there's a larger space for unity, larger space for encounter, for discourse, and it may not be, there might not never be sort of a definitive answer at the end of what that unity is. Like what Prof. Sugiharto said, and we may be pessimistic to think that we will finally reach that epiphany where we know everything about the whole reality. I think we will be able to achieve that on this side of heaven. But as long as we keep struggling with and for the other, I think it can be a beautiful thing. So religion, among other things, and the sense of wandering can become that very source and summit of that unity. And I think that's a very hopeful tone and a good note to end this webinar. And I would like to thank Prof. Sugiharto, to thank Las Casas and Mr. Ali and Ms. Wailin Han for coming and for contributing, and also everyone for contributing with your questions and engagements and for listening. And yes, I hope to see future collaborations between Sembarita, Unpar, Oxford, and Komunitas Bhinneka, and